So good morning. Today we'll be discussing the construction and working of reciprocating pumps in this video. So basically, what are pumps? We already have discussed centrifugal pump and many cases of turbines also. So in turbines, we discussed that turbines are the prime movers which converts hydraulic energy into mechanical energy. And opposite to that, the pumps are the systems which basically converts the mechanical energy into hydraulic energy. So in case of centrifugal pumps, we discussed that rotodynamic energy was used to do this conversion. That means mechanical energy was converted into hydraulic energy through rotodynamic action, or we can say centrifugal action. Now, in case of reciprocating pump, basically reciprocating action was taking place due to which the energy of the water was raised, or the hydraulic energy of the water was raised. So basically reciprocating pumps are positive displacement pumps and centrifugal pumps were rotodynamic pumps. So positive displacement means what? A particular quantity of liquid basically is physically displaced and forced out with certain pressure by a mechanical system, and that is called as positive displacement. And why the word positive? Positive means a particular quantity of liquid is positively displaced in the forward direction. So reciprocating pumps are positive displacement pumps. Nowadays, these kind of pumps are being limited, like the use of those pumps are very limited. All the pumps have been replaced by centrifugal pumps. But wherever we need high head with low discharge, then we can use these kind of pumps, such as in oil drilling operations, etc. Now, when we talk about main components of this reciprocating pump, so I'll just try to explain through this figure. So the main parts of the the reciprocating pump is you have a cylinder. This is your cylinder, a piston rod. So this is our piston cylinder arrangement. Then we have a crankshaft, a crank, and a connecting rod which is connecting the piston rod to the crank. So through this connecting rod, the rotary motion of the crank is converted into reciprocating motion of this piston. So here we can see that this is our suction pipe, the pipe which is used to carry the water from the sump to the pump, and delivery pipe, it is the pipe which is used to carry the liquid from the pump to wherever it is required. From the mid of the pump, the distance between this point to the level of the sump is basically called as suction head. The hole basically is our suction head, and from here to wherever it is delivered, that is called as delivery head. It is denoted by H suffix D. Now we can see here that this is the end portion up to which the piston can come, and this is the last portion where the piston basically rests. So the distance between this to this is called as stroke. We can say that from the top dead center to bottom dead center, whatever the distance is there, that is denoted by stroke or stroke length. Now, when the piston moves from this position to this position, this is called as suction stroke. And when it moves backward, that is called as delivery stroke. So initially what will happen? The shaft will start moving, and this is our rotary energy, which is provided through the mechanical energy also we can say, which is provided through the motor. That is electrical energy. Through the electrical energy we are getting this rotary energy. Now initially this crank was at IDC. IDC is inner dead center, and here we have outer dead center. So when this crank was at this position, then this starts moving from this position towards this side. So when this is rotating from IDC to ODC, the crank will move. This will be our suction stroke, and this piston will move backward, and simultaneously this suction valve will open. Now when this will open and the piston will move towards this side, the volume here will increase and simultaneously the pressure will drop. Now here the pressure is less, here the pressure is high. So due to this pressure difference, the liquid will be sucked inside by the pump. Now this crank will move from ODC to IDC. That will be our delivery stroke, and the piston will now move forward. At the end of this suction stroke, this valve will close and this will move forward, compressing the liquid inside over here, and simultaneously the delivery valve will open and the high pressure fluid will be delivered wherever it is required. So this is basically the construction and working of single acting reciprocating pump. So this is a single acting reciprocating pump. The problem in this kind of pump is that the flow over here is intermittent. We don't have any continuous flow in this kind of pump. We can see here once suction will take place and then delivery, then again suction and delivery. The flow is not continuous. So through an animation, we'll just try to understand this once again. See over here, through the intake pipe, and that is our delivery pipe, cylinder, piston, piston rod, this is the sump from which we need to carry the water to wherever it is required, crankshaft, crank, and this piston basically have the reciprocating motion. This is our crank. Suction valve, delivery valve, so this suction valve basically is a non-return valve, and at this position we can see that it is open and the water is being sucked inside, and simultaneously the piston is moving backward. Now the crank has rotated 180 degree, and this is our suction stroke. And the water has been sucked inside, and the whole cylinder is filled with water now. Now the delivery stroke will start, and the delivery valve has been opened, and the piston now will move forward because of the movement of the crank toward this side. And the water is delivered wherever it is required. So now we are coming to the next part of reciprocating pump, that is classification of reciprocating pumps. So when we classify reciprocating pumps according to the piston sides, we have two types. One is single acting reciprocating pump and second one is double acting reciprocating pump. The one we have discussed now, that was our single acting reciprocating pump. Now what is basically double acting reciprocating pump? We can see on the next slide over here that in this case we have two suction pipes and two delivery pipes. So when the suction will takes place here, the liquid here will be delivered. And we can say that during the suction stroke, here suction is taking place, simultaneously over here delivery will be taking place, and here it is suction again, then here it will be delivery. So both the side suction and compression is acting, so it is called as double acting reciprocating pump. So in this case, the problem which was there in the single acting reciprocating pump of the intermittent flow, that has been overcome, and this is our double acting reciprocating pump, in where in both the sides the liquid is getting displaced. So according to the number of cylinders, we can have single cylinder, we can have double cylinder pump, and in this figure we can see that we have triple cylinder pumps. So that was our classification part. Now what is the discharge through a reciprocating pump? So theoretical discharge basically in the reciprocating pump is given by ALN by 60, where A is the cross-section area of the cylinder, L is the stroke length, that is equal to 2 multiplied by small r, and r, small r is our crank radius, and N is the RPM or the speed of the crank. So this is the theoretical discharge of the single acting reciprocating pump. Now if you want to find out the discharge in case of double acting reciprocating pump, that is given by this expression. How come this expression? So that can be clear through this figure. We can see over here in this case, in double acting reciprocating pump, discharge is through this and through this. That means we have two cases of discharge over here. So here the discharge will be equal to the cross-section area of the cylinder multiplied by the length of the stroke multiplied by the radius of the speed of the crank, that is ALN by 60, that plus the discharge through this side. So discharge through this side will be how much? That will be area of the cylinder minus the area of this piston rod, because this is the area which is coming in between, and rest remains the same. So area of the cylinder minus area of the piston rod multiplied by L multiplied by N divided by 60. So the discharge can be written as discharge on one side plus discharge through the other side. So theoretical discharge can be written as this expression 2A minus AP multiplied by Ln by 60, and if we assume that this area is very low or very less,